Good morning guys, I'm Chris and welcome back to this Sunday's episode of Rift Amps. Here we are then, first day of spring, the spring equinox, or Ostara if you're that way inclined. Beautiful blue skies. It's about 17-18 degrees Celsius today, sun is out. Spring is definitely here. It's also the first day of the year. Managed to get the windows open on the workshop and I haven't had to have the heater on. It's that beautiful couple of weeks where I don't need the heater on, nor do I need the aircon on. So yeah, beautiful. Okay, AC30 update. I have got to the bottom of the issue. The issue we've got now is this single EL84. Okay, I think that one was cooked and has been causing all of the issues that we've been discovering. Now, it's very sensitive to which three of the other EL84s you match it with in each half as to how much the amp red plates and hums. Okay, but this is the culprit. I did remove the two coupling caps feeding each half of the output stage, and one of them is leaking 1 millivolt, so hardly anything, but the other one is leaking 4. And I think what's happened is, because these are already quite stressed anyway, is that it's caught that leakage caused the weaker valve out of the 4 to fail first and cook itself harder, and then now for that is gone. It can't be brought back. And now that I've replaced the caps, the amp is stable for longer, but it's still humming, and ever so slowly the wattage consumption out of the wall slowly rises at a very slow rate now, whereas before it went up quite quickly, if you remember. So when you first turn the amp on, it sits around 126, and slowly but surely it creeps itself up. So if I simply swap this one out for a known good replacement, the amp now brings itself back into line and is pretty quiet. And it will sit there for hours on end, no issue whatsoever. If I then sub this one back in, the amp seems to run fine for about 20-25 minutes now, and then it starts to creep up as this thing starts to fail. So I think so far, because this is the best answer I've got, is we had an ever so slightly leaking coupling cap combined with one weaker valve than the rest, meant that this one failed first and has been causing our issue. So if I just swap this one out, you see here we're at 27.9 and it alternates between that and 29.7. Just swap that out. We'll swap in, it's just a generic JJ, it's not matched or anything. Well, I haven't measured the matchness. We'll plug that in, we'll let it warm up. The hum level drops and we should get back down to about 25-26 watts once the valve comes online. That's now coming up online. I can hear the hum level has dropped. Might not come across on camera. And now we're sitting at 126. Bang on. Okay. So my recommendation to the customer, unfortunately, because we want these things performing the best we can, unless we can find him a proper match set of old Mullards or something appropriate like that, the best bet for him will be to fit a match set of modern valves, and my recommendation is to up the cathode resistor from 47 ohms up to the next value, which will be 56, just to stress these a little bit less, give them a bit more longevity, and we should be good. But yeah, you can see it's nice and stable, 126 now. If I swap that one back in, it will start creeping up to 127, 129, 131, and then we start to see red plating. So classic AC30 really runs its valves very hard anyway, combined with an ever so slightly leaking coupling cap and a weak valve has caused our problem. So I'm going to give the customer see what he wants to do, take it from there. Okay, customer has approved a new match set of output valves. We'll fit those, thoroughly clean the sockets, do all those bits and pieces, bias it up properly, soak test it. But yeah, so this is the dodgy one, this old mallard here, but which was in this position here. But if you paired it with this one here, so you swap these two around, that's where you got the real problem. So it is very sensitive to which one it's paired to as well. So we'll just do a match quad. He can keep I'll grade all these for him, and he can keep them as spares, use them in other things. I mean, there's enough there to make a nice matched pair for something like an AC15 or a Watkins Dominator or something like that. So it's only one of them, or one of them that's properly bad. This one is end of life, really. Get you out of an emergency, but I wouldn't run it long term. But the other two seem to be okay. So that's what we're going to do. Good news and bad news, really. Good news, we find the problem. Bad news is that, yeah, we're swapping out some mullards. Okay, working on the Hiwatt PA. As I mentioned in the last video, I've done the recap. I've yet to do the Bolgan plug, but I'm still working on this hum issue that's on every channel. And it's got some quite horrendous parasitic and whole frequency oscillations. In fact, it wasn't good at all. Been having a bit of a nightmare going through all the schematics, and I've had to start drawing stuff out because there is a section on the online schematics that's missing. But as this is different to the schematics as well in terms of the negative feedback circuit, it's been a bit of a head scratch. But as always, the most complex and head scratching issues often have the simplest answer, or the simplest cause would probably be an easier way to put it. And we've got more to demonstrate. I'll show you. We've got, bring you around. There's a hum on every channel. I've currently got volume, channel 1 volume up, all the other channels on 0. If I bring up the master volume, you'll hear the hum. So that's the presence control. So, works on every channel. The hum is present on every channel. All right. So, just been working through the amplifier, and I'll show you exactly what the issue is, because it's as simple can be. So you've got when you've got a ground hum across all 6 channels, then there's obviously something in common with all 6 channels. And here you can see, if I zoom you in, you've got this ground bus that runs all the way down the front of the input jacks, and they all ground through this common ground here down to this point here. Stop shaking, get focused. All right, so turn the volume up. So it really is that simple. So all I've got to do is redo this ground. You've got quite a few, got 2 white wires, and then got this cathode that grounds here, and you've got the preamp, the jacks that ground there as well. So I'm going to redo all of that, clean it all up, do it properly, and that pretty much fixes this amp. Then it's just a case of doing the rest of the service swap out the Bolgin, and get this thing back together. But yeah, the simplest things often cause the most dramatic issues. Dodgy preamp row. This is my own personal 2x12 extension cab that most recently I've been using for bass work. It's not built for bass, it's not tuned for bass, but it sounds all right with bass speakers in it. It is open back, so again, not optimal, but it's been functional and it's been great. But as I've now got the new dedicated bass cab incoming, I can now revert this back to guitar use, because I do need a cabinet, especially for the train mech build that I'm doing. So, which of course will be ahead. So having a nice speaker cab to go with it is the goal. So what am I doing today? Well, I'm going to give it a clean up. I need to swap the bass speakers out of it and put some things in it. Now I've got lots of options actually, because if you remember, Celestion were very kind to send me lots of samples through, and I've got a lot of options. I know one of them is going to be the G12M creamback, the one you've seen sat on the floor in the back of shots for a while, so that's going in. I have got the Neo version as well, which might end up going in as well, so we might pair the two together. I've got some other options as well. I've also got some non-Celestion speakers that I could put in, but I think it's definitely going to be the standard creamback, and then probably either the Neo, or I have got some. What have I got? I've got a V-type somewhere, or an A-type that might pair well with it. I've also got out the back a spare Eminence Governor, which might pair quite nicely actually. I don't know how much of a, how shall I word this? Thing is, the SPLs are quite far apart on those two speakers, so whether they actually mix together, I'm not sure. But we'll see. Anyway, I'm probably just going to go with these two, get these in. I can always change speakers out at another date. I'm not that fussed. But I do want a good working 2x12 that I can take off for local gigs and stuff if I need it, rather than comboing. So yeah, anyway, spin it around to show you. So you can see it's got my Celestion Neo bass drivers in. I love these. Fantastic vintage sound, with the lightness of modern drivers. So yeah, all good. I wonder how many cobwebs I'm going to find in this. There you go, all back together again. So I know some of you are probably a bit sceptical about the old baby wipes for cleaning Tolex, but let me just show you. So you can see the top of the cabinet there. That's just the area I'm going to do. I'm just going to show you in real time just how effective these things can be. So that's before, brand new out the packet. And that's after. Right, and final job is to just put a label on the back, just an idiot-proof label, so you really can't get it wrong. We've got 2 speakers in this cabinet. Got the G12M creamback ceramic, and we've got the Neo version as well. So it's 216 ohms in parallel. It gives us 8 ohms, so it's an 8 ohm cabinet now. As far as an amplifier is concerned, it's a single 8 ohm load. And the wattage rating is the number of speakers times the lowest wattage speaker that you've got. So the G12M is 65 watts and the Neo is 60 watts. So it's going to be 2 times 60, making 120. If I had a 65 watt speaker and a 25 watt speaker, they don't sum, it would simply be 2 times 25. All right, so this is going to be an 8 ohm, 120 watt cabinet, and I never get these straight. Every time I mess these up. Oh, actually, it looks pretty good. First time on camera and everything. Right, there you go, job done. New match quad installed in the AC30. I ended up having to up the cathode resistor. Original value is 47. I ended up not going to 56, which is the next value up, but 68. So I had to go 2 steps higher to kind of get them exactly where I wanted them to be. Now, I've started using a new valve supplier here in the UK, which is a guy called Stuart who runs valvetube-guitaramps.com. Now, what he does is he's got a very fancy tester that he's designed himself, and you can supply to him your anode screen voltages that you want, or that the amp that you're running has, So, for example, I supplied him the numbers for this, and I also supplied, for Marshalls or Hiwatts, I can measure what they are. When I order a set and match valve, I can give him the voltages from the amp, and then he will match up a set for you based on those numbers. So you know that when you put them in, they are balanced and matched at those operating points. Because the matching figures can change if your anodes or your screens, are 25, 30 volts different, and you get a bigger spread than that across output valves. So it's very nice to see that there's now a chap that's not just testing them based on an arbitrary set of numbers, but you can now go to him and say, this amp has got 360 on the anodes or plates and 350 on the screens. Please do me a match set based on those numbers, and he can do that. His tester allows him to set those numbers, and he can supply you with a perfectly matched set based on those, which is absolutely brilliant. Because a lot of valve testers now, they just use a fixed set of things and they match based on those, but until you put them in the amp, you don't know exactly where it's going to be. So yeah, these are running really well now. Really happy with the output on the scope. Up there, she's running away. Just leave it soak testing for a couple of hours, go back, recheck all my measurements, stick it in the cabinet, and call it done. My guitar has a problem. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. The bridge pickup volume, this one here, doesn't work on 10. You've got to back it down ever so slightly, just a smidge off, and then it all kicks back in. Go up to 10, and the sound cuts out. And it's starting to get annoying now. If I work the pot hard enough, sometimes it kicks back in, but the next day it's back again. So I'm going to start by trying to clean the pot. If not, it is going to need a replacement. So let's get this thing flipped over. Let's get the back off, and we'll have a look inside, shall we? I haven't actually looked inside this for a long time. How old is this guitar now? Is it pre-COVID or is it post-COVID? I can't remember now. I've had it a while. Problem is, I have neglected maintenance on it. I'm terrible at it. And it is arguably my favourite Les Paul. This one down here. Does that look like a cold joint on there? Zoom in. Does that look like a cold joint? Doesn't look like a happy joint. Yeah, I think that joint is cold. Oh dear, oh dear. That's looking better. That's easy enough. Right, let's clean this pot, shall we? Where's the service hole? Let me do the others. I think this guitar needs a good polish, doesn't it? Hopefully that fixes it. Does anyone have any good recommendations for guitar polish? I've always used the Dunlop stuff. It's pretty good, but if anyone's got a recommendations for anything that's better, this is stuff I use. Dunlop 65. It's always worked pretty well, but always open to trying other things. Probably need to do a full string change on this. It's probably due now. I think this needs to go to for a proper polish again, because I'm starting to get loads of micro scratches. Can you see all those little micro scratches in there? Maybe time to go and visit Neil Iverson. Job done. This is a 1964 Fender Blonde Bassman, model circuit number 6G6C, which is the very last iteration of the Blonde Bassman before they went to the black panel stuff. It's the same spec as the one I did for Bernie Marsden, the full restoration, which I think I've shown on the channel before. So this one is owned, or just about no longer to be owned, by friend of the channel Ollie, who stood behind the camera, because you've sold it to somebody and they're getting it this afternoon, so you've just popped it in for a final check over just to make sure everything's good and there's no issues with it. Yeah,
exactly right.
Yeah. And it's also got, which we will show, the, is it a 2x12
2x12
extension cab?
Yep.
The match, and it's the correct one. It's the matching one for the for the head.
Exactly. It's got the thumb wheel, whatever they're called, to
yeah, the piggyback
brackets. Yeah.
The same grill cloth. We'll do some. I'll put some shots in of that. So you brought this in previously. It was about a month ago.
Yeah, probably just over, maybe.
Because you said it wasn't quite sounding right. Had no bottom end, and we found that the previous tech who worked on it had worked off the 6G6B schematic for it, changed some components inside. Now, I'm not going to go into all the details, but the B variant and the C variant use different tone stack in the bass channel, and he'd effectively done a poor man's hybrid, and it just lost all the bottom end.
Yeah.
So we reverted it back, worked out what it should be, and the whole thing came alive. It sounded great.
I think it was also the pot, the treble pot. It's got an extra lug, and it was grounding out against the bass pot.
Oh, that's right.
Maybe.
Yeah. So
Right.
the treble pots on these, they've got a fourth lug because it's a tapped treble pot, 350k with a 70% tap. But it had rotated round inside the chassis, and it was grounding out against the brass strap, the grounding plate, which caused all sorts of fun issues. So we're going to get this on the bench. We're going to check it out, test it all over. The new owner asked for the speakers in the cab to be swapped over to some Jensen, what are they, Blackbirds?
Tornado. They're Tornadoes, because they were vintage 30s in there, which make the cab very heavy.
Yeah.
So there's the Tornado, the neodymium ones,
Yeah. So you've already put them in, but I need to wire them in.
That's it, yeah.
Yep, that's easy enough. And then we've got to put all those cabinet screws back in. There are so many. So that's cool. So that's the first of 3 amps you've brought in. Now, you're selling... The reason you've sold this is because you also own... what year is it?
It's a 68 drip edge Bassman.
68 drip edge Bassman, which unfortunately does need... It's got a conductive board that's gone past its shelf life.
Yes.
So we're putting a new board in it, but rather than keeping both channels as they were, we're actually going to make the old bass channel into a blonde Bassman channel.
Exactly.
And I have pre-built the board. Here it is, all ready to go. So I'll be able to drop that into the chassis, wire it all up, and then you're going to have blonde Bassman on the left, black panel AA864 on the right.
Exactly.
That'd be a really cool gigging amp. Lots of different voicing there. Do you use an ABY pedal?
No, I don't. I would probably just unplug it and plug it in.
And just see what
switch
works.
the cable if I
Yeah.
needed to. I'm not going to use them switch between channels during a song, but if I needed to if I was changing guitar or I wanted a different sound for a different song, I'd obviously just plug the jack cable into the other channel.
Yeah. Just that they will be in phase, so you will be able to run them at the same time.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's some really interesting tones in there, I think. Once it's done, we'll do some demos.
Yeah.
Show it off. Right, cool. So there's also, you've got one of my PR18s that we're putting a new speaker cable on along the one. And yeah, the Bassman that's staying with me. Cool. Right, let's get this thing on the bench. Okay, up and running on the bench. I've just had to make some bias adjustments on it. So to get everything where I want. And it's now doing into 4 ohms, 14 volts exactly, and 14 volts into 4 ohms. So 4 ohm column, 14 volts, puts us at 49 watts. So we'll call that bang on where we need to be. So I'm just going to leave it running for about 15-20 minutes, make sure it's all okay. Then we can bottle it up in the cabinet and then we'll do you a little demo. Well, that's it then, guys. Thank you very much for watching once again. As always, please give this video a thumbs up or your comments, questions down below. Subscribe and hit the notification bell if you haven't already. If you're feeling super generous, why not join the channel like these guys have? And I will catch you all at the next one.